Good afternoon, this is Melissa with thestockswoosh.com and welcome everyone. I wanted to review this Urbn. This was a gap watch for me yesterday. I never ended up touching it with a 10-foot pole, but I wanted to go over it today because it's a great example and a nice little lesson to be learned from sloppy, crappy gaps, which this was yesterday. And you can see it's not continuing through on today, and it's not going to. This is not one that you watch for a continuation move. Okay, by the way. It didn't work out right yesterday, and it should have, and it's not going to. So I never did this yesterday. Had it on the watch list in the morning, decided not to do it. Didn't like it for a million reasons. And if anyone traded this yesterday, you got chopped around, chop silly. I wanted to go over this for a purpose. The purpose is to review pivots, okay, number one, and also when this was happening yesterday, when this was trading in the morning, and even looking at the gap, okay, because it was on everyone's gap radar yesterday morning on the 21st. This was a typical kind of gap that people, the traders, day traders, active traders would look at to get into to short on the day and would have wanted to do yesterday. They find these types of things easy. People like to do these. And it is the exact same thing that rooms call out trades in this, and probably were calling this short all day yesterday, and it was an ugly piece of crap, and I didn't do it. And the play was a short. It's not a long, okay, but flipped around and faked out like it was a long at one point. So it was very confusing for people, and I'm sure it was horrible. And I'm sure, I'm 100% positive the traders lost money doing this yesterday in both directions, not knowing what to do. Because it really was nothing. It wasn't anything. There was nothing to do with it. It was a bearish gap down failure that happened yesterday, and it didn't play out right, and it didn't rate well, and I never touched it. And as soon as it opened, I saw it wasn't going to work right. So it's kind of like this thing where I know what typical traders are doing because I used to be in all the rooms, and I know what people are doing. And this is one of the things that people just got chewed alive in yesterday. Wanting to do and never really got any play in it. Never really got any momentum in it. Never really got anywhere with it. You could look at the daily bar and say, yeah, the extension on it was 44.35 at the high and the low was 43.10, which is like $1.20. Yeah, but that doesn't mean you can make any money in it. Stuff has to play out and set up right and be clean in order to be profitable as a trader. You can't dictate where the high and the low of the day is supposed to be unless the thing rates well. If the thing rates well, it's going to give a good setup, unless the reverse swooshes. And if it doesn't rate well, it's not going to give a good setup, unless you are able to spot that in the moment live, which very few people are able to do. I am, because I only do one thing, gaps, okay? And I also even only do one direction, although I can spot them in either direction, the setups, but let's just go over this. Nothing to do. Absolute piece of crap. Nothing to do. 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 Nothing. And I'm sure people shorted this in here. This is a 5-minute chart. People probably shorted it in here, put their stop over here because they thought it was good. But then it never followed through. This doesn't even make any sense either. Came down in here. If you took this trade in here at 92, whoop-de-boo, you were up 30 cents in here. And if you were up 30 cents and didn't take it off, you suffered and it blew through your stop. Because you probably had it, over 14. This doesn't have a big spread. You wouldn't have had it all the way up at 20 something. So people are getting chopped around unless you have your stop over the high of the day. But why would you do that? It wouldn't even make any sense. You wouldn't take a trade here and put the stop over the high of the day. So this is, again, ugly setup. That's what you would have had to do to stay in the trade to get the low, but ugly setup. You would have had to do that, take a huge stop, and be in it the entire day. Just, that is not proper. That's not the right way to make money trading. That's a waste of your time and energy and money. So then I'm sure people look to get back in this here. And look to get back in a million different places. And let me point something out. Here, this looked great. Oh, wait a minute, it's coming in. Comes back up and does a higher low. Oh, everything looks great. Oh, does a lower high. Look, this is lower than this here. Oh, it's doing a lower high. Oh, great. Yes, it looks good. Then it breaks out again and does what? It does a higher high. Now you're like, oh, no, now what to do? Now it comes in. Now it does a lower low. Now it breaks up again. You're all over the place. Once again, pivots. You're looking at the higher highs and higher lows. You're getting chopped up like a crazy person here with a headache, not knowing what to do because nothing that you see in this chart makes any sense. You're flipping it, you're going long, you're getting stopped out, you're retaking it, you're stopped out in the day, redoing this a million times. And you really like the gap, and it should have gone on to work, and the 42 was the target, but it wasn't going to work. It never rated good enough, and it never set up right. There was nothing to do. And once again, you can't look at the pivots because all of a sudden it looks great, then it looks great, then it doesn't. Then it doesn't. Look even in here. This is just, you know, this is one of these things that I know traders traded this and got chopped up yesterday because it wasn't a good gap. I had it on my radar. I watched it. It could have been a good gap. It could have worked out. It could have cooperated. It could have done something, but it didn't. It absolutely didn't. And there's no reason to even short anything that's so gobbledygook. Traders will do it. They will do it. They will retake it. They will retake it. They will get stopped out. They will make a little. They will. At the end of the day, you're down. Between retaking it, making a little, losing 2-3 times in it, and the commissions and everything else, you lost money in this. Why waste your time? This is such a great example of something that traders would look at to short on the day that is not a good gap. And I know that. I might be the only one that does know that because I'm the only one that I know has a 26-point rating system. But not only did I know it wasn't a good gap because it didn't rate well, but then when it opened up and started trading, I knew it wasn't good either. So the combining factors of the rating system and no entry means you don't do it. And I never did it yesterday. And now it's not following through, and it's not going to follow through because it's just a piece of junk. It's just a mess. We're in a bullish market, all right? Stuff is going to come in that is weak, and if the people that, the powers that be, don't want to sell out of it, they're not going to, all right? They're going to buy it in the dips. The stuff is going to get bought in the dips. And you have to learn how to read weakness. You have to learn how to read strength. This is an important part of being a trader. Learning how to read strength and weakness is something that everybody should know. And I don't care what time frame you trade on, because that's how you're making money, either buying stuff or shorting it. And if you're going long, you need to know when to sell out, because if it starts to get weak, and vice versa. So you have to understand what's really happening in these stocks and in the overall look of the thing. But I when this was trading live yesterday, I even talked about it in the room, and I said, you know what, traders are loving this thing, you know, as a gap, and they're getting chopped up to bits and pieces, and they're retaking it because then they think it's going to work, and then it doesn't, and it's just one of these things that I just don't touch with it anymore. I just don't. I can see when they open and set up to trade that they're junk. So keep yourself out of trouble with these things. This is a reason to learn my rating system right here. Just staying out of trouble. Number one, I keep people out of trouble with the rating system. And number two, I direct people to the correct stocks to trade to get good plays in with momentum with my rating system. And once in a blue moon, something doesn't work, you take a loss. It isn't that often, though. All right. And I have parameters and set guidelines for looking for the entries so that you don't get hurt in them if they don't set up. You know, you just don't do them then. So you watch it, it looks good, it sets up, it rates well, you watch it, it doesn't set up, then you don't do it. You stay away, you stay out of trouble. Or you make money if it works. But in this case, there was nothing to do here. No money to be made in this at all, unless you're a scalper. And even as a scalper, you had a tough time with this yesterday, batting around, just batting. So this is Melissa with the StockSwoosh.com going over Urbn, a failed bearish gap from yesterday. Didn't do it. But I wanted to go over it because it's a great example of traders getting trapped in these ugly, ugly things that, you know, nobody should be doing. They're not getting sold off. The people in control are not selling out of this, so why would you do it? There's nothing to do. You want momentum to make money. You don't want to be battered around all day suffering in something for 8 hours. So if you're interested in learning more information about gaps, feel free to reach out to me at Melissa at thestockswoosh.com. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.